Hey YouTube land, Tech Anders here doing another action figure review, and today we're having another look at more Joytoy Ultramarine figures from the Warhammer 40,000 line. And today we're having a look at the Joytoy Primaris Captain Ptolias, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Ptolias Corvor. Now, I'm not sure if he's based on a specific miniature. He could be just based on the basic Ultramarine, or the basic Primaris Captain, which I believe it's a master crafted bolt rifle, which is this honking giant gun that he comes with. It is comically larger than some of the more standardized bolt rifles. In fact, if I bring in, I need to move a few bits and pieces. If I bring in one of the Black Templars with the standard bolt rifle, or the bolt carbine, I think. I'm not sure they're rifle, they're carbines. You can see this guy. You can see the size scale difference between this master, or I believe, as I said, is master crafted bolt rifle and the kind of standard one. This looks more like a heavy bolter than a standard bolt gun or bolt rifle. So I just need to put this guy down so he doesn't knock everything over. He probably will knock a whole bunch of stuff over. But we'll have a quick look at the box first. So he comes in the standard packaging that all the newer Joytoy stuff comes with. You can see there for age 15 plus. You have 1/18 scale. You have an image of the figure on the front of the box. You have the name down in the corner. It says contains one 12cm action figure and accessories. You have all the legalese stuff on the side of the box. You have another image or name of the captain on the side of the box, and the image behind is the Emperor's Golden Throne. And then you have an image of everything you get in the box. So it is interesting to note that his cloak is a separate piece. I'll get into that in a minute, but it's one of my least favorite parts of this figure. But the rest of him is kind of cool. So without further ado, we'll get into his accessories. As previously noted, he comes with a bolt rifle, master crafted bolt rifle, I believe it's called. Or it's a bolt carbine. I'm not sure if it's master crafted anyway. And what master crafted means is it's supposed to be like, originally master crafted was kind of like ancient relics, where they kind of were more ancient and they had more kind of history behind them. These bolt rifles are recently new additions to the Space Marine chapter, so I wouldn't consider them ancient. But they are master crafted, so they take more care in building them. He also comes with a power sword, and he is one of the few captains I have that actually comes with a working sheath for his power sword. So he comes with the power sword. It has a honking great big Aquila handle, which is really nice. The blade is kind of faded with metal, very high chrome kind of at the front, fades to a darker metallic, and then there's a bit of green wash by the power conduit part, which is quite nice. It does have a working sheath, which is a nice addition. The two previous captains I have, which I will bring in near to the end of this review, had power swords, but they didn't have any holster for them. Now on the box, it does show this piece as separate, which is a relic. I believe it is shown separate, similar to how the hands are shown separate, just to show that it's a separate piece. It can come off, and it's intended to pop out when moving the figure. The cloak is also a separate piece. Now, when you get him in the box, his backpack is separate to his body. The cloak is put on under the backpack. It is a bit of a pain in the butt to put on, and I'm not even sure I have it on the right way. This seems to be the best way to put it on. You can see the cloak is designed to kind of drape over either shoulder. So without it, you can have him without it, but he looks a bit bare without it. He has these big pipes going around the back of his legs, which is all part of the Primaris design. You can actually see there is a whole bunch of holes on the back of his belt. And now the reason for that is because this body is also used in conjunction with some of the other figures. I believe I'm not sure who originally had used this torso. It is it was used as a different captain's torso, I believe, because it has this little square up here, which is not really part of the sculpt. It should have been kind of removed for this figure. But what it was on the other figures, if I bring this captain in, it's actually one of the other captains has this kind of Crosaurus almost looking thing. Or is it Rosaurus? Not sure which one is which, but it has like the rope with the seal on it, which would go here on the other figure's chest piece and goes kind of swipes around. But it is not on this figure, so it is a bit weird. His extra hand accessories, so he does come with a bunch of extra hands. The ones that I have on him aren't the default hands that he came with. So he has a trigger finger hand for the right hand. He has a swappable left and right for grasping, so the kind of standard grip hands. And then he has an additional three left hands. So the hand that I have on him is kind of intended to be for holding the bolt rifle in two-handed. Because of the size of this thing, it makes it easier for holding it with the hand like that, with the outstretched palm. Then his other hand is a punching fist, which is only on the left. He doesn't have a corresponding right punching fist. At least I don't believe he did. If I just check the box, he only has the one punching fist. One of my other guys is dropped down here in the corner, but I will bring him in for size comparison in a bit. And then his last left hand is this command hand, or I don't know, pointy finger hand. It's not exactly a single pointing finger, it's a double point finger, so it's supposed to be him yelling commands at other Marines. The nice thing about these hands is they are interchangeable with other figures. So if you have, for example, the regular sergeant, now this is the version 1 sergeants, you can swap out the hand for this. The paint is almost identical. The blue, it doesn't have the highlights that these guys had. They kind of got rid of them as they transitioned. These guys have extreme highlights, or the newer ones have more of a darker wash. But you can swap out the hand. So if you have extra Marines that you want to do poses for, like yelling commands into battle kind of thing, you can do that with some of those, which is a nice nod. Articulation wise, he's not too badly articulated. He can get a little hindered just by some of his gear. Most notably by the leg area and this cloak he has. So his arms can move up that much and kind of only outstretched to there. His head is on a ball joint, but it's really hard to move. One of the other downsides of this guy is, unlike some of the other Primaris captains, he doesn't have an alternate unhelmeted head. His backpack is actually articulated in the sense that these exhaust vents are actually articulated. You can rotate them to where you want them to look. His shoulders, as I go out, he has that extra hinge so he can do the cross arm. So it gives him an extra range of movement. He has a bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows. He has the ball peg for the wrist, so you get a good range of movement on that. His waist is on a double joint, so you have an upper diaphragm joint, and then the waist joint, which is a bit hindered because of the armor and all the kibble that is on him. I thought the backpack would fall off. Backpack is on 2 pegs. You can see there's a square block for where it's supposed to fit in and just sit into place. Again, with this in, it does hinder his left arm movement quite drastically because it doesn't get the full range movement. His cloak is kind of a gummier material, and as I said, you can, if you want, leave it off him altogether and have him just plain without it. It kind of looks a bit odd because most Space Marine captains always seem to have cloaks and stuff like that, but it is possible just to leave it off. He doesn't look any kind of different or odd without it, but as I said, getting this on him originally, just making sure it's lined up the proper way is kind of a bit of a pain. It's kind of hard to tell where it goes, and there's no instructions on exactly how it fits. So I believe it's supposed to sit inside the backpack, so it should match up here, and just up here on the top of the cloak it should match up. Then it should make it easier for you to press the backpack into place. It doesn't really lock in too tight. As you can see, it fell off while I was moving it. It is designed to fall out in the sense that it's designed to hold in, but if you're moving it to excess, it's designed to fall off and not put too much pressure or stress on the figure. His legs can kick forward that much. He has dual knees. He can't really kick out to the side too much. He can't really do the splits. That's about as much as you can go to get out of him. He can get some good walking poses. His feet and ankle are on ball joints. And then he has the toe cut articulation, which looks weird. It looks like he completely broke his toe. He has this kind of weird platform shoe thing going on with his boots. So it gives him extra height, but it also makes him look a little funky. But he does hold his rifle not too bad. I know they show him holding it kind of up like this in the box. There isn't really a hand that kind of corresponds to that, but you can, hopefully, if I get it into his hand. It's a bit tight. These new hands are a little bit less gummy compared to the original ones, but he can hold it. Let me see if I can do it on screen. I might have to do it off screen. Bear with me a moment. That might be the best I can get. Make sure his thumb goes around the handle or the guard. There we go. Make sure his thumb looks a bit more natural. And then position the arm the right way. And he can hold his sword in the sword arm. I just don't want to change it out on screen in case I break the peg. It's easier to heat up the joint. So you can have him holding his rifle to get him into more natural stance with the hand that he comes with. And as you see, it is better to have that grasp hand so he can hold the rifle in a better pose. So he is a pretty chunky big guy, as you saw him compared to one of the more standard Marines. These guys haven't changed height too much. I know the 2.0s are a little bit higher, but they're not as tall as this guy. Those extra platforms on his boots do make him bigger. In fact, one of the 2.0 figures is this Marine. This is the other captain. I can't remember his name, but he's not that much higher. If you take off the plume, he's actually maybe an inch or so higher than these guys. So there is a slight height difference between the 2.0s and the 1.0s. I just pan my camera there. So there's a slight difference. And then for another comparison, because I have him, just gonna move this guy slightly off. He might be just out of shot, but I need the space for this guy because he's a big chunky guy as well. And move the hands out of the way. So I have the Primaris. This was the first captain they did. This is the Primaris in Gravis armor. And I have a feeling that this newer captain is supposed to be a version of Gravis armor. I could be wrong. They have very similar chest plate and they have kind of similar chunky boots. But you can see there is, again, a height difference between, if you're going just by the head base height, not the kibble that's on the backs. The base height is pretty much, this guy's a little bit shorter than the original, or than the newer ones. There's a little bit less detailing on the newer guy that I have. He doesn't have these really ornate shoulder pads. If I move him to the side, you can see they just painted on the captain iconography instead of sculpted. It is a little shame. I kind of wish you would have one of these kind of giant eagle Aquila shoulder pads. They would look really cool. Some of the captains have them, some of them don't. This particular one isn't, because I believe the reasoning behind that is they reused this body a good few times with the shoulders, and those shoulders have been reused on a few of the other chapter captains, as in like they've been reused for the Imperial Fist guys. The Black Templars I think may have been reused. Anyone that has this, uses this kind of base body book. I think some of the Blood Angels as well have that. They reuse these shoulder pads, so instead of having ornate sculpting on them for specific chapters or something that's more unique to a specific chapter, they opted for just painting on the apps, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Here is the Sergeant from the Reaver squad, which I have yet to review. Again, it's a weird squad because it's only a set of 3 compared to the set of 4 that the original Primaris guys came in, which I did do a review of, or I didn't, I can't remember. I think I reviewed the original Primaris. And then because he's sitting around here, and right next to me here he is with one of the Black Templars. So the main Space Marine chapters I picked up out of the many chapters that Joytoy have actually managed to put out is the Black Templars and Ultramarines. And I'm hoping when I get a chance to, I might pick up the Dark Angels. But I don't really want to get the Space Wolves, even though the Space Wolves are a fantastic looking chapter. Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, and Blood Angels. There's just so many chapters out there, and now they have White Scars and the Consuls, I think they're called. Oh, and Iron Hands. And who are the guys with the... there's another chapter as well. They have, compared to McFarlane's releases of 40k stuff, which is a shame because they could have done so much more with the line. They could have released a whole bunch of chapters like Joytoy did, simple repaints, and people would have picked them up if they were just the basic Marines in different chapter colors, chapter iconography. People would have snapped them up right away instead of being kind of left peg warming. But other than that, this is a really cool captain. He's actually one of my favorite captains. This guy being first because he's more traditional kind of marine armor, and since he's the kind of more Primaris basic armor, this guy is more chunky armor. In game, I don't know if there's a difference between their armor values, in the sense that like the basic Primaris should be a 3+ or 2+, with the way if it's done with Artificer. The old way used to be Captain used to have a 2+, say, because his armor was supposed to be more older and ornate. I'm not sure if they did the same thing with these guys. They could have the Terminator style save. I could be wrong. I've never run a Primaris army, so I don't know how they work for the different armor types for the captains, or if they have, like, on some captains, some miniatures and stuff, some of the rules, they have like shields before you take their armor value into account. So they could have built in stuff like that. Again, I haven't ran a Primaris Marine army. All my Marine stuff is all firstborn, with the exception of 1 or 2 Primaris units that I picked up as part of one of the starter sets, but I haven't actually painted or used them, so they are just sitting there unpainted. But enough of me waffling. This guy is pretty cool. I picked him up from Big Bad Toy Store. I'm not sure if he's still available because he was one of the few Primaris captains that went really quickly. But you can see he does stand around nearly 5.5 inches in height, so he's a tall guy. He's way taller actually if I take into account his backpack and that thing on the back of his backpack, which I believe is supposed to be some sort of form of the Iron Halo. And that brings him up to nearly 6 inches, so you have that going on for him. He's nearly the size of a Imperial Stormtrooper, which is kind of interesting. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video review. I will try and throw a link to where I picked them up on Big Bad Toy Store on the description. Unfortunately, I don't think he's still available on there. They may get him back in again, maybe, I don't know. But he is a pretty cool captain. If you can pick him up for a reasonable price and not overly priced, I would go for it. So hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a good day. Cheers, guys.